Sophia, it's so good to be on this call with you today. I know that you're the CEO of Coco Foundation. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the mission of Coco Foundation and the latest work that you guys are doing?
Yes, of course, Kevin. It's so lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for your time. I'm excited to do this with you. It's a handful, but I'm gonna say the whole mission, and then I'm gonna break it down. The Coco Foundation is a registered charity, and its mission statement is to forge pathways and create opportunities for disadvantaged young people through artistic programs and cultivate greener environments for themselves and their communities. I did try and shorten that, but I can't quite seem to do it. So we're sticking with the long one. But essentially, the foundation's mission and two main pillars is to give transformative opportunities to young people and cultivate greener environment, not just for them, but for the world. So we're a grant making foundation as well, and our aim is really to amplify and create as many wonderfully grassroots green programs that we can. The most recent work that I'm really proud of is a few of our core environmental programs. And we went on a mission to rewild Camden. So we have rewilded, which means, everything from hedgerows to fruit trees, 26 local schools, including our local fire station. We built a wonderful garden there. When we were creating this foundation, we wanted to start backwards and understand what the need was in our community rather than push our own agenda. And the main thing that we noticed was how bare the local council estates were, which is your version of the project. And so we went on it's a pretty simple in nature, but quite innovative in its structure because of how many different departments had to get involved from the council to get this off the ground. But we partnered with Camden Council and a wonderful grassroots organisation called Think and Do. And we did a pilot of two council estates, and essentially it's called the Community Tree Project. And we went in and we built mini forests on these council estates, and two quickly turned into 10, which I'm really proud of. We are now, I think, just under 180 trees across 10 council estates. And last month, we just finished our first ever orchard. So we planted 88 trees across two estates, and they're all edible fruit trees, which is really special, and the kids are loving that. The amazing thing about this program, and again, I think it's what makes it so unique and special, is that there's a circular economy here. So we train the kids on the council estates to learn about the environment. We have environmental experts and tree experts come in and give them workshops and lessons. And then we buy all the equipment that lives on the estate. And then we pay under 18-year-olds, all completely safeguarded, but we pay these kids to look after the trees. And so it becomes a real job and a real responsibility, and really connects them into their community and makes them feel proud of their own space, and has a really positive, not just social impact, but environmental impact on the actual state. And they get paid for 2 years, and they're called Coco Foresters, and I absolutely love them. And we've got two of them now moving into the green space to essentially start careers. They're starting internships at the moment. And they're amazing, passionate, young, gorgeous children. I keep saying children, I feel old, but I am young, nearly young adults. And so yes. And then, sorry, we've got one more, again, innovative but simple in idea. We've got a project called the Beeline Box, which again is in partnership with Camden Council and Central St Martin's University. And we have a young architect there who's designed these really very simple but very safe and sturdy galvanized boxes. And we've got 92 of them going up on a council estate on July 5th. And again, first of its kind, it's herb boxes. So each box can fit 6 different herbs, and all sorts of community events, teaching about herbs and how to grow them and what you can use them with. And again, part of the environmental workshops on the estates. And again, we'll have Coco Foresters looking after these herbs. And I think one of the things apart from all the amazing data on the environmental positive footprint of these programs, what I find the most special is I go on these estates and you see the elderly come out and the kids come out, and you just see there's just a natural decrease in antisocial behavior. And that's what the people on the estates tell me, because when you've got the kids and community stronger together, and there's a unity there, and all focused on a shared drive and passion of saving our planet, right? Making our spaces more environmentally positive, making our spaces happier. Within that umbrella, it's an incredible impact. And all the programs that we do are very, very grassroots, and we've been very careful the way that we've piloted them, and we're now in a position where we can start scaling them. So the idea is that this program, the Community Tree program, which is the mini forests on the council estates, we're looking at a few grants now to extend this into 40 more boroughs across London, starting with 3 boroughs this autumn. So obviously dependent on funding, but what it does is it shows me that this simple program in structure is so impactful, and so wonderfully positive. So I'm really proud and very excited about that. And then the other side of the foundation, which is young people, we've just had 2 wonderfully successful music academies. They are 18 to 25-year-olds. We focus on disadvantaged youth, but people that live and breathe music, because our core ethos is all about music at Coco. And we love giving opportunities to young musicians, and kind of nurturing that next wave of really, I think, essential artists, especially in the UK, especially in London, because COVID really hurt that as well. And sorry, I'm going somewhere else, but it's a 3-day workshop run by a wonderful man called Sasha Skarbek, who is a famous songwriter and producer. And essentially there's 12 students, they get into groups of 3, and they, over the 3 days, they write an entire song and write all the music for it, and they're completely strangers. And then we have these amazing industry experts, head of A&R of major music labels, massive producers, and they come in and they do Q&As. And, these students get to ask them real industry questions that, are not taught, and it's not readily available. And the whole premise of this is really just to give hope. And I say this with wholeheartedly, 3 days can totally change someone's life. And I've had 6 students write me letters after these workshops, just how their whole lives have changed. And it might be a tiny thing, like finding a friend, or, finding confidence, or learning a new skill set that can take you from negative to positive, or simply just understanding that there's so many different career options within music that aren't when you're the head artist, which I think is also a massively important part to educate on. But it's the workshop ends on stage at Coco and then performing their songs. And I'm not someone that easily cries, and when they just performed on stage, the whole room was standing up, and just with people crying, everyone was applauding. And I looked around us, and Coco puts on 1,000 shows a year, and we've got multiple different stages. And I looked at our head of music, and I was like, oh my God, did we just find the next Ed Sheeran? And it was just, the talent in the room was just, it just left me speechless. And it just shows that there is so much creativity, so much talent out there. They just need a platform and an opportunity. And then we have, I won't take up the whole call, but we're focusing on a lot of different bursaries and grants at local schools as well. And our mission here is that anyone that music makes a difference to. And we're also starting a film and a theatre academy too. But much to come. But thank you. That is the Coco Foundation.
Quite amazing work. Honestly, I'm quite speechless on the work that you all have been able to achieve. And I always say hope isn't passive, hope is an active force, and you can see it in the work that you do with the Coco Foundation. So I really quite inspired by all the work that you do, because it kind of invigorates me to keep on that hope that every individual, no matter where they are in the world, can create something that has a ripple effect, a change, in communities and in minds. So truly inspired by your work while you were just talking about all of the work that you were doing Um, Honestly, I myself just came back from a active tree restoration site, so I know what it means to really be getting the work done and starting a forest of my own, and starting a
Oh,
lot of the work
wow.
around restoration. Yeah, so I'm like making some of the connections, and also I live in Los Angeles, so the music industry, the entertainment industry of the world. So definitely quite a lot of the connections and a lot of the work that I do as well.
That's so awesome. So that leads me, Kevin, onto my question for you, which is you are the founder and executive director of One Up Action. And could you please tell us about your mission and your latest work?
Yeah, our mission is lengthy as well. One Up Action International, we're a dynamic, intersectional, and a youth led organization, really kind of dedicated to empowering the next generation as catalyst to accelerate and implement climate solutions. So our mission transcends conventional thinking, really fostering a global community of environmentally conscious leaders. And our programs are kind of divided into three things: really cultural awareness, collaboration, and fellowship. And we kind of go beyond our bounds of, um, you know, conventional thinking of what does a program look like for a nonprofit, especially being youth led, right? And so a lot of our work has kind of been how do we evolve this story of environmentalism and really, change the way in which young people are utilizing their voices and take action in their communities. So from the streets to their communities, really kind of making sure that impact can be seen both ways. And that's our mission, really, kind of making sure that we're empowering the next generation as implementers and accelerators of climate solutions. Very simple, but the three ways we do it is cultural awareness, collaboration, and fellowship. What we have been able to launch last year, at a fellowship that I'm very proud of, we launched a program called the Youth Solutionist and Government Fellowship. It was a 4 month virtual program based in the United States, a domestic program, but really kind of bridging the gap between young people and climate policy making spaces. Because oftentimes decision making tables, especially those that have to do with crucial issues around climate, a lot of young voices and the visions of young people and the solutions and ideas of young people are not included. And so we really kind of wanted to bring upon a fellowship connecting a lot of the people here in the United States across, from Arizona all the way to Australia, sorry, all the way to Alaska. I'm just waking up, but we really connecting all of the states and a lot of the young people. We actually got 53 young people from across the nation, not from every state, but we got quite a lot of young people from all across the nation, and pretty huge dynamic. Actually, we had over 200 young people apply. But being a youth organization, we're only able to take 53, and hopefully we plan to relaunch it this upcoming year as well and run it, and really kind of how do we do our three-step framework. How do they establish their own youth climate councils, youth climate commissions, youth climate advisory boards, or advisory councils? How do they create their own policy, and then how do they create a climate policy framework that if they don't want to create their own policy, how do they support their policymakers to really kind of be in the direction of implementing climate policy? And so those were our three-step framework within that fellowship. Um, a lot of our work and a lot of the recognition that we have is establishing the first of its kind youth climate commission. It's the first ever in the world, first ever in the nation, but that really kind of launched a lot of the thinking behind this program, the YSGF program, or the Youth Solutionist and Government Fellowship, of like how do we get more youth climate commissions across the nation, and then hopefully around the world when we expand this program. Some stuff that we do around the world more internally, we have this program internal to One Up Action because we do work on cultural awareness and communications, is a crisis management initiative. So last year we were called to action around saving 209 fin whales in Iceland. So we mass mobilized 70 celebrities and influencers to boycott the country of Iceland to put a stop on whaling. We were successful in getting the Icelandic government to put a stop, but now just this year and just this month, the Icelandic government has issued a permit for whaling to continue, and so we're going to continue doing a lot of work around there and of mass mobilizing either the Hollywood industry, which has $2 billion there, to continue the fight to stop the fin whaling, the endangered fin whale to be whaled. And then we also support a lot of indigenous communities, specifically in the Amazon rainforest, and making sure a lot of their, the bill that was going through the Senate, getting that highlighted through various celebrities, and the mobilization to preserve Yosemite National Park was also something that we were really kind of, how do we highlight indigenous voices through like Billie Eilish or through other notable figures. And so we have this internal program called the Crisis Management Initiative that we have done. But a lot of our, kind of work has really been around how do we get young people the resources to be implementers and accelerators of climate solutions. And that's the work that will continue. We do have two branches of One Up Action that we're launching later this year. We just did a soft launch with the Youth Impact Council. It's its own organization, but we're a founding member, founding partner of the Youth Impact Council, and it's one of our branches that we like to call it at One Up Action. But the whole essence of it, when we launch it later this year in Climate Week in New York City, it's around how do we get young people who already have their own causes, organizations, or solutions that they're working on to be a part of this council, who may not have the power or resources to make and expand their impact. How do we get them the power and resources to do so? And so we have a set system of getting council members, and we were going to start with around 15 to 20, and then we'll have ambassadors. So our first ambassador and our founding ambassador is actually the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson. She has graciously agreed to be a part of that, work around youth representation and, how do we get young people to be involved? And obviously we'll have more ambassadors, but the Duchess is doing incredible work around youth and really kind of getting young people access to a lot of this work. So hopefully we'll launch this Youth Impact Council later this year in New York City. And then our last branch, and a lot, we're launching a studio called Earth Era Studios. And that's really around how do we kind of, bring a new light to creativity and climate actions through media events and in interactive programming, because that's a lot of the work that we've done. We do have one other program that we have not launched. We are also a regranter, and we've only done case studies here and there across the world. But this is a lot of our new programming, so you won't see it on our website, but we plan to launch something called the Action Innovators Fellowship. And that's really around, how do we get young people to actually be the implementers and, solutionists within their communities. And we're still in the phase of kind of fundraising for that. And hopefully we also get to launch that during Climate Week. But that's in a GIF what One Up Action is doing and what we have done in the past.
Kevin, I'm so inspired and in awe and just think you're so brilliant. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you, hear your story, hear your organization's story. Tell me, if someone wanted to come and support you, which this is me as well, how can I support you? How can anyone support you? What's the best way for us to find you?
Yeah, you can go and search up the organization that I work for, One Up Action International. We're on Instagram, all the social media pages you can possibly think of. And you can also look us up on our website, oneupaction.org. I think that's my organizational side. But if you want to personally support my activism journey, you can follow my page at I'm Kevin J. Patel. That's how you can support me. But I also want people to support you, Sophia. Your amazing work with the Coco Foundation and you as an individual have inspired me in turn. And just hearing you talk, we can talk forever, but I really want to make sure that the audience knows how they can support you and your amazing work. So if you wouldn't mind letting the audience know.
Yes, I'm so grateful. I really am. It's Coco Foundation, KOKO.com. Our new website launches next week as well, and so do our socials. Um, I know it sounds cliche and corny, but I'm going to say it anyway. Every penny counts. Every single penny counts. So if your capacity is £1 or $1, I am eternally grateful, and I mean that. So thank you, and I really hope we can stay connected. And I hope for all of us that we come together in echoing exactly the way that we've just discussed, and make some magic.